Well, that sucks because we are going to lose the first half of that podcast. I apologize. I don't know what happened. I hope my voice is back. That's an epic fail. I don't know what we're going to do now to fix this, but hopefully Matt can rejoin this. Fuck. That's a bummer.
It is a bummer, but at least we only got... Okay, let's do it this way. This is what we'll do. Without explanation, we're just going to run through what we've already done. Back and
quickly?
forth. Yeah, we won't... Just don't get me
That sucks because that first half of that episode's gone. I can't save it.
I know, but it was a good one. So we'll just say that the people who slept on it, sorry for your loss.
Oh, no. I'm so disappointed.
I know. Okay, so if anybody's just joining us for the first time, because we were just doing this for an hour and it didn't save. So we basically have gotten to our number 6 pick at this point. Or sorry, we've gone 5 in already, each of us. So so instead of redoing them all, I'm just gonna quickly run through my 5 that I've gone through so far. So for anyone who's also just joining us and has no idea what the fuck we're talking about, we're going over our top 20 favorite albums of all time. So here's what I've given so far in no particular order. So I started with Blink-182 self-titled. Then I did The Format, Dog Problems. The Starting Line, Based on a True Story. Alkaline Trio, Good Morning. And then Steel Train, Trampoline.
And I am bummed beyond belief that that first hour is gone. I'm ready to cry because that sucks. It's the first time we've lost an episode.
No, you lost your episodes with your but the video games too.
Nobody knows about that because it wasn't live.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
That first hour is gone, and I have no way of redeeming it. But anyway, my first 5 albums that I've gone through so far are The White Stripes, Elephant, Alexisonfire, Old Crows, Young Cardinals, Death from Above, 1979, You're a Woman, I'm a Machine, Hannah Georges, For Evelyn, and Mother, Mother, Oh My Heart.
Now, to resume, we move to the next one. So my next one on my list, it's funny because when you were frozen, I was just talking in case anybody was still like paying attention. And I'm like, should I just do number 6? Maybe I'll just do number 6. And I'm like, Ryan won't care. He definitely hates this album. So again,
it just sucks because like it went off and it's like reconnecting, but it just wouldn't move at all.
Yeah.
So like I eventually just canceled out the app and restarted it. But like I was kind of hoping that when I restarted the app, it would have popped up and said like, "Do you want to save that first hour?" But no, of course not.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say to the guy down there saying talk about action figures. Yeah, I'm not here to talk about action figures tonight, so that's probably why I'm not talking about them. So, but yeah, we posted. We're doing music stuff tonight. So sorry if that's not your jam. Apologies. I'll do action figure shit in the next few days. So my number 6 is an interesting pick, probably because I think you like the band, or did anyways, but I would say that again, I'm probably in the very, very small sliver of the minority who thinks that this is actually even a good album. So my next album is Pretty Odd by Panic at the Disco.
I hate this fucking album.
Yeah, so again, it kind of hit me at a time when I was kind of getting into like those kind of more different styles of stuff that was like related to pop punk by name only. Yeah. And it's like, then all of a sudden this Panic at the Disco band comes out, and it's like, for someone who's into pop punk, like I know you really love the first album too, right? Fever.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Fever, You Can't Sweat Out, or whatever it was called. And don't get me wrong, I love that album a lot too. But this album was like literally a complete 360. Like it went from being like a synth pop band to like a Beatles wannabe
Beatles
band, and like. I don't know. It really worked for me. I don't know if it was like the time of my life, but even when I went back and revisited over these last couple of weeks, I didn't think it was going to age well. And like man, it totally still hits home like hard for me. Again, even the slow songs, I really really like on this album. It's good, man. I like Pas de Cheval. I think that's how you say it. I think that might be like, I don't know what that means. Horsehair, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
They wanted to make Sergeant Pepper, and they failed miserably.
If you like Sergeant Pepper and the Lonely Hearts Club by the Beatles, you should check out Pretty Odd by Panic at the Disco. It's fucking weird. It's just, I mean, it wouldn't be weird if you didn't know Panic at the Disco, but if you heard any of their other albums, you'd be like, that's fucking weird, dude.
Oh, it broke up the band.
It definitely broke up the band, yeah. But I mean, they kept going, and I still do like some of his stuff. Like, I like the last few albums. Not the last
so do I.
Yeah.
I think the last few albums that Panic has released are their two best albums.
Yeah. I didn't get into the last one at all, but the one before it I really liked.
The last album's really, really catchy. It took me a while to get into it, but once it hooked me, I was like, oh man, has massive hooks in it. Like, it's the same as Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
I think Fall Out Boy's dramatically changed what Fall Out Boy is as a band. But
I agree with that.
Their last album, Mania, I originally didn't like at all, and then as I listened to it more and more, it finally hooked me. Like, oh yeah, there's some catchy ass songs on this album.
I really liked Pretty Odd. I thought it was good. I think it's just weird. It's a little bit different, but it's a lot of fun. If you're into the Beatles, like I said, yeah. So
I think it's a bad album. I think it's not anywhere near what the Beatles did.
I will say that I don't think it's better than the Beatles. I just really like the album. It really hit me for being. I like it for what it is, and like I said,
in the first part that's gone now, is music is very subjective, and depending where you are in life, depending on your age, depending on your mood, depending on the season, depending on the day, it can hit you in a different way. And I'm not discrediting your choice. For me, it doesn't hit me in any intelligent way whatsoever. Like, it just doesn't work for me.
I knew you wouldn't be on board with that one, so.
No.
Actually, I feel like the rest of my picks are ones that you probably won't even have much to comment on, to be honest.
That's fair, because I don't think you're going to have a ton to comment on some of these either. But I think you also can on my next album, because I feel like this is an album that you also may like.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. I like those. Oh, I haven't. I listened to Clumsy not that long ago, but yeah, that's one of those bands that was in my life in a huge way, and then wasn't for such a long time.
My first CD I ever got.
Was it? I think it was in my first 5, probably.
As anybody maybe you're blind and watching this, I don't know, but that was Our Lady Peace Clumsy.
Great album.
It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's what got me into the band, and then I backtracked and listened to their first album, which is called Naveed, which is also a superb album.
Yep, super good. Astonishing. That was Clumsy by Our Lady Peace.
Yeah. Canadian as well, from Toronto. I've seen them probably 7 or 8 times live.
I've never seen them live.
Oh, dude. That was my first concert I've ever been to. It looks like Popeye with the choke toy.
Bondage shit.
Yeah. That was the first band I ever got to see live at Windsor Arena.
Oh, crazy.
It was a really, 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 really bad concert because of how bad Windsor Arena sounded. It was just like an echo chamber of metal. But I've seen them again several times after that. I've seen them in Toronto several times. They're phenomenal live. I highly recommend them. I think their first 4 albums are superb. I think after that you can very hit and miss. I don't think they've been
agree with that.
Time.
Yeah. Once we hit past Spiritual Machines, it's like it can be pretty dicey.
Gravity was very mainstream rock album at the time. It was 2001 or 2002. It was very, very generic sounding, but it got a lot of play on radio, so you probably are most familiar with Gravity. But after that, I feel like they just completely lost track of who they were as a band. I think 2 or 3 albums after that were really, really bad.
Yeah, but Spiritual Machines was weird, but I actually really I liked Spiritual Machines.
So right now they're working on
Gravity.
They're working on Spiritual Machines too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to see what that album sounds like because it's a sequel to that album, obviously, but it's a very weird, different album. Definitely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It was an interesting departure of sound for them. Yeah, Clumsy. That's a great album. I really like that album.
Yeah, I think it's very catchy. My favorite song on the album is Car Crash, but I definitely think it's like definitely nowhere near their most popular track or anything like that.
I think I like 3 AM. If I had to pick a song, I would pick 3 AM.
Yeah, 3 AM's great. Yeah. Superman's Dead was like probably off the album.
Automatic Flowers.
Automatic Flowers also there. Clumsy was another big single off the album. So yeah, I highly recommend them. If you haven't seen them live, Rain is awesome live singer, musician, everything. The band
is a great drummer too, right?
Yeah. Well, he's not in the band anymore, but yes.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you telling me that he left. He left like a year ago or a couple of years ago, right?
A couple years ago, yeah. But yeah, I love the band. One of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands I've seen live. I highly recommend them. So if you haven't heard them, seen them, whatever, check out those first 2 or 3 albums. I think you'll find a lot of awesome tracks. Early 90s, mid 90s music. Really, really good.
Nice. That's a good pick. I like that one.
Thank you.
That one I was spinning a couple of months ago, probably now. But yeah, and Naveed too. I really like Naveed too. It's a good.
Naveed's great. Happiness is Not a Fish That You Can Catch is their 3rd album, which is also really, really solid.
Yep, and that's a good one too.
Yeah, so
nice, good pick. Okay, so my next pick is it stands out as one of the unique ones on my list because it's the only rap album on my list. So my next choice is Camp by Childish Gambino.
God.
Oh, dude, I love it so much. I like both of his. I know he has more than 2, but like I really like Because of the Internet as well. But like I think when it comes down to it, like I really like Camp. It's good. It's like I like his style of rapping. Like it's like talk rapping. It's like, but he also can like sing too. So he like does some stuff with that, and it's just I fucking love Camp. I love his lyrics. His lyrics are funny as hell. Like the way he presents some of his lines are just like, they're good, man. I love it. I know you're not a fan, but yeah, I fucking love this. I particularly love this album and Because of the Internet. So, and anybody who doesn't know Childish Gambino is Donald Glover from Community and from there's like a show, I can't remember what it's called. It's like named about a city. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say Chicago, but it's not Chicago. It's something else.
I thought it was Chicago.
What's that?
I thought it was Chicago.
Oh, maybe it is Chicago. Atlanta. There it goes.
Atlanta, you're right.
That's astonishing, yeah.
Not a fan. Have nothing nice to say about the man, so I'm just gonna shut my mouth. And I can't stand his music. I can't stand his acting. I don't like him at all. But
to each his own, right?
Yeah.
Because of Community, that's where I got into him, was Community. And then like once I found out that he was like he had a rap thing, I was like, I gotta check that out. That seems silly. And then I was like, oh wow, this is like not what
I've tried. Just not for me. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's never really been your field though. Like I can't ever really thinking of a time where, even when we found like punk rap bands like Gym Class Heroes and Whole Wheat Bread, like you were never into that stuff at all either. Like just never.
The only honest, like other than like rap rock, where I was like super into rap rock in high school, like the only like actual like rap artist I've ever gotten into in my life was DMX.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah, like that was like grade school for me. Is one of my best friends in grade school was like obsessed with DMX. I'd go to his house, always had DMX, and like I was just like, oh, this is really catchy. I don't know why. It just connected with me when I was like in grade 7.
Stop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really catchy. So for some reason, like DMX has always just like been like one of the rap musicians where I was like, oh yeah, I can completely get into this. Yeah. But other than that, I've never been a rap fan at all. So like
DMX just died, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, last 2 weeks.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that just happened. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
crazy. Okay, so it's your turn. You're now. Oh, Tegan and Sarah. I saw that one coming too.
Tegan and Sarah, Sainthood.
It's a good album.
My favorite album by them, but definitely they don't have a bad album in my opinion. That's their sixth album out of they have currently 9 out. I don't think they have a bad album. I love their music. I think they're insanely talented. I've seen them live. They're great live. They're from Alberta or Calgary, Alberta, and yeah, twin sisters, both gay, both really really talented.
Yeah, they're very talented.
They just write really really catchy lyrics.
I'm pretty sure Sainthood's the one that I really like.
I love Sainthood. The Con's also really really good.
No, the Con's the one I like. Sainthood came out after the Con, right?
Sainthood was the album after the Con.
Okay, I like the Con. The Con's the one I actually like from front to back.
Yeah, the Con's phenomenal. And if I was to say like my two favorite albums, it would probably be Sainthood and the Con. But
man, I gotta say, I'm super impressed with your inclusion of Canadian content. My wife would approve. She does work for Made. It's like a thing that like promotes Canadian content. Like,
yeah,
that's fucking yeah. You got a lot of Canadian picks. I got nothing.
So like I mean, this is gonna be a tangent, but like my biggest
UP red and white.
What's that?
UP red and white.
Only. But the red and blood. No, my biggest disappointment is like that Windsor doesn't have a great venue for musicians to play in. Really, like it has the casino, which more mid-level or semi-popular bands can play, but generally we don't get lower to mid-market bands or up-and-coming bands. It's usually
hard because you guys share a border with Detroit too, right?
Right.
Like, who would go?
Everybody goes to Detroit and hit St. Andrews Hall or State, which is now Fillmore.
Yep.
And they don't hit Windsor. And my argument has always been that Windsor has a riverfront stage / area now to have live music played, but we never do anything with it really. And there's so many great Canadian bands that we just don't book, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, totally.
And yes, Tegan and Sarah is a worldwide or at least North American wide going band now. They're not low tier band in any stretch, but there are so many lower, not super popular bands right now that they could get to open and have like an entire festival of Canadian music in Windsor, and they just don't do it, and it bugs me.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I feel like it's always been hard in Windsor for that, just because you're right next to Detroit. Like you're a 15-minute drive away from Detroit. Like it's.
But to me, like that's just if I had $1 million or a few $1 million that I could invest, and I was like, hey, like I'm going to start a new career. My career choice would be to open a music venue in Windsor that is like St. Andrews Hall in Detroit, a small, like maybe 500 person venue, and have all these Canadian bands come here instead of Detroit.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be cool. That's a good choice, though. I mean, I don't think I got too into the Con. Into Sainthood, but
Sainthood is more poppy than indie. Like that's where they started implementing like a lot of
more
pop
of the synth and stuff too, right? Yeah.
Where before that it was like a lot of more like folksy indie rock sound. They definitely have gotten more and more poppy. Like their most recent album was kind of a callback to their early stuff, but the two albums before that,
I remember listening to some of it, and I liked what I listened to.
Yeah, the two albums before that were very very poppy, so they've kind of bounced back and forth between it. But I think as a band they're just really really good songwriters, and I highly recommend them.
Nice, good choices. Okay, so my next one is a new addition. So for the first hour that we lost, which sucks, but I had mentioned that I did something similar to this, like about 2013, I think it was when I looked. So some of my list is very similar, and there's a couple new additions. This is one of them. So this is one that like I've always really liked this band, an album in particular that has always stood out to me. Otherwise, it's just kind of been like singles here and there that have kind of caught me and I've stuck with. And then like I literally just forgot about them until I started chatting music one day with Stranded Customs. One night we got into like this huge music conversation and we talked. Was surprised at how many bands we had in common that we liked. And he brings up this band. So the next album I'm picking is The Walking Wounded by Bayside. So yeah, so it's like a New York band, I believe. They're from New York. And yeah, it's just like a rock band, but they've got some like pretty interesting guitars, and like I really like the lead singer's voice a lot. Like it's unique. It's like if you were ever to like give it a spin, and like you didn't like his voice, again, you could just shut it off because it's pretty. They're not super diverse in sound, I would say. Even album to album, they've done some kind of different stuff, but I would say as a whole, when you hear a Bayside song, you know it's Bayside kind of thing, right? So, but yeah, Walking Wounded would be my pick, and yeah, I know you. I don't even know if you've ever listened to Bayside, have you? No, yeah. So they have a couple. That like. Honestly, the whole album's really good. It's got some good. You might like some of the guitar stuff on it. Like it's weird. It's one of those bands that like I never really thought of as accessible. And then like I remember we put it on. I went camping one time with DJ and Derek and them, and like for some reason like DJ got super into it, and it was like, and I was like, it seems like weird that you would get into this out of all people. But yeah, he said he really liked the guitars, and because he was into like some like hardcore and stuff too, right? So like I think the guitar parts, there's like some kind of techier kind of guitar stuff, and I think he liked the voice too. But yeah, it's a really fucking good album, super catchy, and just yeah, I felt like it's really aged well with time. So
nice.
Yeah.
Sadly, I have nothing to add here because I don't know anything about it. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Bayside, you should check it out. Only The Walking Wounded. The rest can all go suck a dick. It's no.
Well, I don't know if that's good or appropriate, but
yeah, it depends on your flavor.
Sure, I love grape flavor.
You like grape? Yeah. No, Bayside might not be for you.
All right, so my next band, which is our number 8. Yep. Is Arcade Fire.
That's one that I don't have anything to say about.
Fair enough. Arcade Fire is one of my favorite bands. Definitely, they're from Montreal, Quebec. They have 5 albums out, I believe.
They
5
won a bunch of
albums.
Grammys like a couple years or like
They won Best Album of the Year at the Grammys for The Suburbs, which is their 3rd album. Which to me was the first time I've ever had any interest in the Grammys whatsoever, just because I've never any album that's going to win Best Album of the Year.
It's not on your list. Yeah.
I've never had any interest in whatsoever. So this was the first time where I had a dog in the race. And the fact that they won a Canadian band, I was stoked. Arcade Fire is definitely very, I don't even know how to explain them. They're kind of all over the map sound wise. They have like, I think 6 people in the band, but when you see them live, they literally have like 12 people on stage because they perform every instrument live. So it's not like pre-recorded or any of that shit where they're like, oh, you hear saxophone in the song, they're playing that recorded. It's like, no, they'll have a saxophonist on stage playing saxophone.
It's like if it's present in the album, it's going to be present.
If you hear violin, they have a violinist on stage.
That's crazy. I have to say, I have a deep respect for musicians that put that kind of effort into their craft.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of fell off of them after The Suburbs. A lot of people didn't like their most recent 2 albums. Me personally, I do like their most recent 2 albums. I think they're very catchy. They're different. They're not as I would say, I don't even know how to describe them. They're not as mainstream. Like, I don't even know if any of their albums are really mainstream, but
I don't know if I would classify them. I can only really think of one song, and I'm pretty sure it's off of Suburbs. And
yeah, like
I wouldn't really classify them as like mainstream.
4 of the songs on their first album are called Neighborhood 1, Neighborhood 2, Neighborhood 3, and Neighborhood 4. Like, they're very weird tracks, and yeah, like they're definitely not going to be for everybody, but like for anybody that has not heard Arcade Fire or know anything by Arcade Fire, start with Funeral because I think it's their best album. Their second album is Neon Bible, which is different but pretty catchy. And then 3 is The Suburbs, which is what they won a Grammy for. After that, you may kind of lose you, but me personally, I think they've just gotten weirder. But I also think it's very catchy and very good and well written. And they have 5 albums, so just check them all out at your own pace. But they sound great live, and it sucks because they played in Windsor, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now, and they weren't promoted at all. Nobody gave a shit. I went to the show, and there was literally like 40% capacity at the WFCU.
I mean, the nice thing about that is you get a pretty intimate show, but it's only intimate if they are like, oh man, this is weak.
I felt very bad for the band, and I felt really ashamed of Windsor that like a Grammy nominated band and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
And it was a great show. They played awesome. It's not like they were like, fuck this, we're going to phone this in 45 minutes and fuck off because nobody showed up. They played a full show and it sounded awesome, and like credit to them, you know? So
nice.
Yeah. Check out Arcade Fire if you know.
All right. So my next pick is one of the other bands that I kind of like, as I have kind of been going down this list and saying that as I was in the pop punk phase, I kind of started to phase into like some more like mellow, kind of more chilled out kind of stuff. And this was one of the early ones. It was the early November, The Room Is Too Cold.
Nice.
So you never really got.
I know a bit of I'm not super familiar with them, but I have listened to them.
Yeah. So like I got in. This is the album I kind of got into them from. I remember getting into them from watching the Drive Through Records DVD, and they had a couple live performances on there, and one of them, which is still to this day my favorite song off the album, is Baby Blue. It was a live performance of them playing Baby Blue, and I was just like, holy fuck, these guys. First of all, these guys have some insane energy. And it's not one of the slower songs. Like I'd say it rocks pretty good, but they're more. I think they're more known for like kind of their more like chilled out, mellow kind of stuff. I do think that some of those like rocker kind of big rock sound songs like are some of their more popular ones. But I think as a whole, they're known as for being kind of like the more chilled out kind of band, right? So
I remember them as being really mellow.
Yeah, they're super chill, right? And Ace, the lead singer, main writer for the band, like he writes everything on an acoustic guitar. So a lot of the albums at the beginning, like were put out in acoustic format as well. So to kind of show like this is what it was at the beginning, and then this is kind of what it turned into. But even on this album alone, there's 2 like fully acoustic albums or songs. One of them even has like a violin and stuff on it. It's like, it's cool. It's like a good one, and it's got a couple good like little vocal cameos. There's like a good little surprise visit by Kenny from the Starting Line in there. So yeah, like I really love it. Like I said, Baby Blue, like I would say if you get into Baby Blue, you'd like anything, but like I would say Baby Blue's relatively unique on that album. But they do have some harder, like not harder, but like more rockier songs than just like chill songs. Mountain Range in My Living Room's another like super good one. But yeah, I love the whole album front to back. And like it's one of those ones I could put on and just like listen to. Like it's good, man. I really dig it.
Do you appreciate them more acoustic or as like a full band?
I used to appreciate it more acoustic because there was a long phase where like I was really into acoustic, but I just find that I need to be in the mood for that now. So that's not to say that I don't revisit. Like about 3 years ago, maybe they put out like a greatest hits thing, but instead of just re-putting everything out, Ace re-recorded all his favorite ones acoustic, like re-recorded them acoustically and added like some reverb on his voice and added some like more instruments that are like still kind of stripped down. So he kind of like made like an enhanced acoustic version of like a bunch of songs that were his favorite of the bands. So it was like kind of like a reimagining of some of the songs, and it was super good. Like I fucking loved it. And like and similar to Arcade Fire for you, like I remember I saw them in Vancouver. Like I think they were actually the last band I saw before COVID hit. So it's like very recent. They put out an album last year or the year before, 2019, and I didn't necessarily care for it. But man, I went to the show. We got there. It was like this little small bar. Like there was like 30 of us there, and honestly, they could have phoned it in so bad, but because the 30 of us that were there were like loving it, so like they immediately picked up on that, and like they rocked so fucking hard, and it was such a good show, man. Honestly, like yeah, it was great, and they played some pretty good like deep cuts. Like as much as I like some of their newer stuff, like the stuff that really stands out in my mind is the first EP, and this is their first full length, which is The Room Is Too Cold. So Baby Blue, the Early November, that's the song you want to check out. It's fucking
it kind of reminds me of Dashboard Confessional.
Absolutely, there's total Dashboard vibes.
Yeah, like I love Dashboard acoustic, and I hate them as a full band.
Me too. That's fine.
Yeah, like I feel like when Chris Carrabba performs an album and it's very acoustic, like I think that's their best material, and they've released a few of their albums acoustic and as a full band.
Yes,
and their
I remember that.
Side I love, and the full band side I can't stand.
Yeah,
and I've seen them live as a full band and just as Chris Carrabba live acoustically, and like it's night and day, like to me. And so like I totally understand that aspect of like the acoustic balance of a band, and you know, I love Dashboard Confessional, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember I think the only time I ever saw Dashboard was as a band, and yeah, I mean I didn't really have any thing to compare it to, but like he did play a couple of songs acoustically, but I definitely prefer Dashboard as an acoustic act over a full band. So, but yeah, if you were into Dashboard, I would definitely, and you don't know The Early November, I would say like it should be a relatively easy transition into that, because they're relatively similar.
Sure.
Especially the earlier stuff. The later stuff gets a little different, but still.
I think I've only heard their first album, so.
Yeah. This is a super. I really like it. It's good. Yeah. It rocks in all the right ways for me.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
All right, so second to last.
Oh man, I haven't even thought about Metric in like a million years. Oh my god.
Metric Fantasies. I love Metric. Metric is one of my absolute favorite bands.
Also Canadian
from Toronto. That's their fourth album. They have 7 out. I think their most recent 2 are probably their weakest albums, but I still really like them. But I think you can't go wrong with any of their first 5 albums. Like the album they did after Fantasies is Synthetica, which is my second favorite album by them. But
what was their one before your pick? Yeah, I can't remember. That was the one I think I got into a bit.
I can't think right now. Hold on. I'll look it up real quick.
It's hard to keep track. Even when I'm trying to think of names of some songs, I'm like, man, I don't remember the names anymore. I just know I like the songs.
I should know this because it's one of my favorite bands, but I just can't think of it. Grow Up and Blow Away.
I don't know if that was the one. There's one I remember getting into. I had one, like I bought one album of theirs that like I just can't remember where it was in the timeline.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this band is extremely talented. They're awesome live. I think that Emily Haynes is one of the best live performers I've seen, probably out of all the live music I've seen. She's gorgeous. She's fucking phenomenal live. Yeah, they're just a really, really talented band, and I think they're really underappreciated. I mean, they're pretty popular now. I think they're pretty famous worldwide, but it's just I think they're underappreciated still. Like I love them. They're very like synthy, but I would say more indie rock than anything.
Yeah, I'd say indie.
They have a lot of synth vibes in there.
It's a lot of electronic elements for sure.
There's a lot of electronic parts in their songs. They have pop hooks in there, but they're more of a rock band than anything. I would say indie rock.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, they're just really, really skilled live. They perform live. They're awesome. I've seen them twice. They're phenomenal. I don't think you can go wrong any album you pick out, but I would recommend Fantasies, and then I would check out Synthetica after that. But yeah, that's my number 2 choice or
Nice.
number 3 choice, whatever way you want.
Whatever
Number we're at, that's my choice.
All right, so my last one is not a Canadian band, but it's pretty close. They're a Detroit band.
Fireworks.
Yeah. So my next pick is Gospel by Fireworks. So a funny thing with this band is like I like used to play in bands a lot, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I know you do, but I remember when I first went to see a band that I really love called Nest, which will appear on my next week's list. There was this band of like 13-year-olds that opened the show called Publicity Stunt, and it was like these little fucking punk kids. And like I remember at the time, I was like, we need to get them to play in Windsor. Because like I knew they were local because I could just tell they were just kids, right? So like I remember like I set up a show. I booked shows at the time. I had them come over and like we met them at the border. Their parents dropped them off. We loaded my dad's van up with their gear, took them to my house, and then like went and hung out in my basement, like their band and my band, and like they're like fucking like playing craps like for like dollar bills, like just these little street punk kids, right? And then like from there, we kind of were introduced to another Michigan band, Half the Battle, and then from those two bands came Fireworks, and like I got to kind of see it kind of happen behind the scenes because one of my friends, Lauren, was dating someone in the band for like a pretty long time. So as the band was like putting demos and stuff together, I got to hear them, and I got to see a lot of that stuff before it was ever even presented to labels. And then when they finally like actually made it, I was like, holy fuck, like I know these guys, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, they actually put out quite a few albums. They put out 3 full lengths and an EP, like on a proper record label. And I really like all 3 of them, but to be honest, the one that really stands out is their second one. It's called Gospel, and there's just a lot of catchy pop punk. It's pop punk, like it's just fast pop punk. There's nothing super amazing about it. I couldn't even tell you what really makes it stand out. It's just I think he's a really good lyricist, and I think they are good at like constructing like a catchy song. Like, you know, I think Arrows is like just it's so fucking catchy, and I think like Detroit, which is on a different album, but like I think Detroit's another like amazing fucking song, and it's just they're good. They've disbanded since. I saw them on the last tour they did. They played with New Found Glory, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Was it New Found? I think it was. I went to Seattle to see New Found, and I'm pretty sure Fireworks opened.
I didn't know they broke up.
Yeah, they broke up. I think they were trying to like switch up their style a bit. So the last album they did was called, I can't remember. It's good. I like it. My memory is shit from being a pothead for so long. But like there was a couple songs on that album that were like pretty different stylistically, like, you know, almost like from pop punk to like just a rock band, right? Like something you'd hear on 89X or something like that, right? Alternative rock kind of thing, right? And it actually got some pop. Yeah. And like, to be fair, like they did well with that sound. Like if you look on their Spotify, like none of the songs on this album, on Gospel, even touch those 2 songs that kind of have that more like rocky sound. Like it's like, I think Gospel songs have like, you know, under 100,000 listens or something like that. And then like those ones have like in the millions, right? So it's like, you know, night and day difference. But yeah, if you're into just good old pop punk, some like fast, good pop punk from Michigan, the guys in Fireworks, they do it right. I really like it. They do it really good.
I went over to their Wikipedia just to see what album you were talking about after Gospel. It's called Oh Common Life.
Oh Common Life. That's the one.
But apparently they have an album coming out.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did actually hear one song they put out as a teaser like a while ago, and like stylistically it was like not even the same band. Like you would never even
I don't know. I don't know details. All it just says is it's called Highly Lonely Power, and it was delayed because of COVID, and it remains without a release date as of March 2021. So.
Oh man, I hope they don't stylistically go too far. I feel like they will, but
I don't know.
I mean, they're good musicians, so I understand
They posted on Twitter for the first time in 2 years in 2019, and that was the first leak of the album. And then it was supposed to be released in 2020, but it got delayed because of COVID. So,
I'll have to look into that. Hopefully, it comes out soon. I'd love to see some new stuff from them. So, I always thought they broke up. I feel like they were really struggling to kind of find the sound they were wanting. And I feel like it was like starting to show in their live show. Cause like I remember the first time I saw them, their live show, like it was amazing. Like they were just so like everywhere. They were jumping everywhere and they were just so full of energy. And then like, yeah, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It didn't even seem like they were enjoying themselves the last time I saw them. It was unfortunate.
Yeah, and you can tell that, right? Like, you know when a band's enjoying themselves and loves playing those songs, and when they don't, and it's just obvious from their stage performance. When they're energetic and into the songs, you know they still love playing the songs. And like, I'm amazed. I mean, this is kind of off topic, but I'm amazed when you see like a band like Blink-182 or whatever really famous band that has, you know, 20 famous singles that like everybody knows the band by. Like, you really think Blink-182 wants to go out on the stage and play all the small things for the 30 billionth time? It's like, fuck no. Those guys probably hate that song at this point. But they come out and they fucking perform that song like it's the first time they've ever played that song. And that's when you know you have like a fun live band. And you can just tell when a band comes out on into it that they're into it, they're out of it, they want to go.
Yeah, like even the fact that they didn't, when I saw them last, they didn't play a single song from the first album, and I was just like, oof, okay, I get it.
I remember, I don't think you were there. I think it was, I don't think you were there. I don't want to say names on the podcast just in case people don't want to be called out, but we went, I went with friends to go see Blink-182, The Used, in Taking Back Sunday, right when like The Used started blowing up, and Taking Back Sunday had been pretty big. And The Used just released their second album. And they were performing live, and they were playing all second album songs. And then fucking Bert comes out, and he's like, "We're gonna play an old song." And I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, we're gonna get first album song." And he played the first single off the second album, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And like, the whole set was basically all new songs that had basically nothing off the first album, and I was just surprised by that.
Did you ever do you know why that happened? I think I know why that happened.
I don't know.
I think he got a thing with his throat, with his voice.
Oh yeah, he can't scream anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. So
yeah, he got like I don't want to. I'm speaking.
I don't either. I know.
But I remember that like during their first big tour, he was like throwing up after sets because of how bad he was screaming. And I think it like fucked up his throat and his vocal cords and stuff. And like I'm pretty sure he like seen doctors or actual like vocalists or whatever that told him like if he keeps it up, it's ruin his vocal cords. So I'm pretty sure like that's why they cut out so much screaming out of the second album, and then like I think after the second album the band went into the fucking toilet. But
yeah, I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah, I never really got into The Used even past the first album, to be honest. The first album,
I love the second album, but after that, I fucking hate them.
Yeah, that's another good one.
My last choice.
Okay, last choice.
The 10th choice of this week's episode is City and Colour.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big City and Colour fan, but I know them at least.
If I should go before you.
So where does that land in terms of release schedule for them? Is that their second?
No, that's their fifth.
Shit.
Fourth or fifth. I can't remember for sure.
Crazy.
Hold on, let me look real quick. But
another Canadian
I think it's
band.
the best album. It opens up with a 9-minute song. It's awesome. It's called Woman. It's my favorite track on the album. It's super moody, super chill. I mean, anybody that doesn't know City and Color, it's Dallas Green from Alexis on Fire's side project. Dallas Green being City and Color. He started this like side acoustic project, basically.
Oh my god, I never got that.
Really? Oh no.
I never got that. I never really put any thought into it, but that's fucking. You ever get that when it's like you get something, you're like, oh my god, I feel like Mike Myers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I just got that.
If you were here, I'd slap you.
City and Color, Dallas Green. There you go.
It's a 5th album out of 7. Okay. So, yeah.
I didn't know they had 7 albums. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think probably everybody would recognize Tracks Off of Sometimes, which is their first album. They had a few like really big singles off that album while he was still touring with Alexis on Fire. Is basically his side project in between touring with City and Color and Alexis on Fire. He recorded new albums and so on and so forth. So he kind of bounced back and forth between projects. But then when Alexis on Fire broke up, this was like his main project. So he kept putting out stuff within City and Color
pretty consistently, yeah.
Pretty regularly every couple
Obviously,
years.
You got 7 albums. Fuck, man.
Yeah. So, I think it's their best album by far. I don't know if it's going to be for everybody. It's very mellow. It's definitely a very moody album. It's definitely an album I recommend. Like, I'm a very how do you explain this? I love setting the scene to listen to an album in. So
You're
like
immersive.
I love very immersive. Like I love setting the mood for an album. So I will like turn off the lights. I will light candles. I will put on a vinyl. That type of thing where like it's nighttime, the mood just strikes me right. And this is definitely a type of album where I think like listening at night, it makes the album better. Like having the lights off really immerses you in the music and it really sets the mood for what you're listening to. And I just really think it's a really, really well written. He's an awesome lyricist. If you really like dive deep into his lyrics, really, really well written. He's extremely talented vocalist. He's a very talented guitarist. I've seen them live. He's awesome live. The thing I can say weirdly about his live show is I went and seen them at the casino, and during one of the songs, I couldn't tell you which song it was, but during one of the songs, somebody proposed to their girlfriend during the song.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, and after the song, of course, he like stopped and he goes, "Oh, did you propose to your girlfriend?" And he like called them out and like congratulated them and everything like that. And then like he kept playing, and we got like I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 songs later, and then somebody else proposed to their girlfriend.
Oh my god.
Really? You want to be the guy that was second choice at proposing to your girlfriend during the City and Color? Like, if somebody else beat you to the punch, I think you should just wait. Yeah, just call it a day. Don't propose to your girlfriend that day. But and then so like he stopped the show again after that proposal, and he was like, "We got a second one tonight."
And like everyone be fucking.
Yeah, and he's that type of musician where like it's definitely a very like romantic mood setting. Kind of like boyfriend, girlfriend type or whatever, significant other type music. I don't want to exclude anybody, but like, although a lot of his lyrics are very melancholy and very dealing with mature subject matter, and so not all of it is love songs. There's a lot of stuff that deals with heavy shit. So
the only thing I remember from them is "Don't forget to save your scissors,"
right?
Or something. Yeah, I don't remember.
That's exactly. Sometimes, yeah. That was like the really, really, really popular song. I don't listen to the radio anymore, so they may have had 15 singles from then that like blew the fuck up. I have no idea, but that was their like very first like super popular single that got me into them. Yeah, and I was actually into them before I was into Alexis on Fire. So
it's funny.
Yeah, they're just really, really talented, and I recommend them to everybody. I think check them out. Another Canadian band, obviously from St. Catharines, just like Alexis on Fire. So, that's my 9th Canadian band. So,
damn son. So what I kind of thought we could do to kind of end this off is maybe we can quickly zip through our first 5 that we missed again, even just a quick, even just a really fast, run through what really stands out, just so that way we got some context from kind of the beginning, right? Because I know we just kind of zip through them real quick, and it's everything else gets all this conversation, and then those get nothing. Yep. I mean, it had something, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So our first 5 got deleted, obviously, because I'm an idiot, or
by accident. Nah, it's not your fault. It
is what it is, but yeah. So we started off with our 5, and then Instagram shit out on us, and we lost the first hour of this podcast. So real quick, we'll jump into our top 5. We'll just take like 10 minutes maybe. So this is a solid hour-long podcast. Yeah. And then next week we'll do another top 10.
Next week will probably be 2 hours. So anyone who's on a timeline, you probably should plan for 2 hours, because realistically, that's what we're dealing with. If we wouldn't have lost that first hour, this would have taken us 2 hours.
Yeah. All right, hop into your first one real quick.
Okay, so I started with Blink-182 self-titled, and I guess the takeaway points from that conversation were, obviously, for people who don't know me personally, Blink-182 was like a humongous part of my life. I would definitely say that they are my favorite band of all time. Like, for a lot of reasons, it's well beyond the music at this point. The person I am today is because of the obsession that I had with Blink-182. So
that's where our friendship started. So
totally. It was a common place for a lot of my friendships to start, and it was like a entry point for me for a lot of music. Like you know what I mean? So that was really when I really got invested in Blink. That is really where my love for music started. Even though I'd always listened to music before that, so.
That was my second album. The second album I ever owned after Our Lady Peace is Clumsy was Enema of the State. So
nice.
It caught me early too, and that's where we started talking at our work about bands and music. And it was the second band I ever seen live was Blink-182. Like, I love them. I was obsessed with them.
Yep.
The self-titled album, I think, is their best album as well. So Matt's choice is perfect. If you haven't, for some reason, heard that album for whatever reason, I mean, definitely start there. I think it's their best album. But
I would agree with that. Yeah. Totally. Do you want to go back and forth? I think it's better if we go.
Yeah, let's just go back and forth. Okay. So my choice first was the White Stripes Elephant. If you don't know the White Stripes, they're from Detroit, Michigan. It's their fourth album. They're broken up now. They had a few albums after that, which Matt brought up, Icky Funk, which was their last album, which is also really, really good. I highly recommend that. But you know this album from Seven Nation Army. If you don't know Seven Nation Army, you can hear it in fucking every arena ever for sports. They play it during every game, everything. Like, Seven Nation Army has blown up. But as soon as you hear it, as soon as you play it, you'll recognize it immediately, because
I agree. Everywhere. That's one of those songs that will live on for a long, forever, right? It'll be one of those songs that people out of our generation will know.
But yeah, I started with this band just because Jack White's one of my favorite musicians alive. Like, I'm a huge Jack White fan. If you don't know Jack White, he also is in the Raconteurs. He's also in the Dead Weather. He has 3 solo albums. He's an extremely talented musician, guitarist, vocalist.
Are the solo albums called Jack White?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. One's called Blunderbuss. One's called I can't even think. Hold on. He's a very weird musician. He's a very old school guy. He loves playing to tape. He likes taking one take to record. He's he revolutionized vinyl in the modern day, where he has vinyl pressing plants. He's taking care of a lot of repressings of old albums and stuff like that, because he's really into it.
Have you ever heard that? Did you ever listen to the Jack Black episode of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend?
Yep.
And he talks about when he went to Jack White's house or whatever, and he's like, he's got 2 giant taxidermy lions, and he sits on a throne between these 2 lions so he can read between the lions.
He's so weird, dude. Like, he's a really weird dude. Anybody that hasn't seen the documentary, It Might Get Loud, I definitely recommend that documentary.
I haven't seen that either.
It's Jack White, fuck, I'm gonna forget names right now. The Edge from U2 and fuck, hold on. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Nice.
And yeah, they basically go over their guitar styles throughout the documentary. It's like maybe 65 minutes, 70 minutes long.
Interesting. That actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah, they compare guitar styles. Jack White is obviously like notorious for playing as limited as possible. Like he'll take an old fucking accordion that he bought in like a hand-me-down used store and fucking play that live. Where like the Edge from U2 is notorious for how much pedals and like
effects,
different tech he puts into his music so that it like distorts the sound and everything like that. And it just kind of compares the guitar styles. And then they obviously have Jimmy Page, who's from Led Zeppelin, one of the most famous bands in the world, and how he wrote some of his songs and how he plays and his style and so on and so forth. And they all kind of just like sit around a table and jam and talk things out and everything like that. And it's really, really great documentary. So I highly recommend it.
Nice. I like it.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, my next one was Dog Problems by The Format. So for anybody who doesn't know who The Format is, if you've ever heard of the band called Fun, they did that song Some Nights that was really popular, and that other one that was really popular. What was it called? Was the other one that was super popular? The first single, We Are Young? No. Yeah, We Are Young. That's it. Yeah. So anyways, if you know that band, this is the band that singer originally was from. He was in a two-piece band with another guy named Sam, and they were called The Format. And this album is their last album before they disbanded. And basically, it's kind of like a musical journey through... I don't even know. I don't know how the best way. I even said this the last time. I don't really know how to best describe it.
They're very weird. They're very quirky.
Very quirky. It's got a lot of catchy components to it as well. And they're one of those bands that is like Ryan was just saying about Jack White, is like, you know, you'll listen in the background and you'll hear somebody like hitting something with a pencil or like taking a deck of cards and running them over bicycle spokes. And like, those are the kind of things. It's a really good album if you want to, like Ryan said earlier, set the mood and you know, like really immerse yourself in the sounds. This is one of those ones where like you could keep your ears busy for a long time because there's a lot of cool shit buried under all the different tracks. And yeah, it's just a really good, catchy thing for anybody who's can handle a hook. Like it's just, yeah, he's got a really good voice and he knows how to use it. And yeah,
great live.
It's awesome. They're just all around really, really fantastic. So
highly recommend you checking that album out as well as the Fun albums out, because he's a great performer live. And we had mentioned earlier, if you missed it, that like I don't understand why he hasn't put out a new album in recent years. Is Fun blew up like crazy with their Some Nights album, and they should have returned and put out a third album right away, and they just didn't do it, and I'm shocked by that. But
maybe he couldn't handle the fame.
I think it was the pressure of following up an album that blew up that big.
That's a hard thing to follow up.
Yeah, I think maybe he didn't want to do something in the same genre or style and felt kind of shoeboxed in by the blowing upness of that album, like the fame you got from that album.
You really can't stray too far when you put out something like that.
Yeah, any fan of the band is going to expect a similar sounding album after that. So
I agree.
I think that's part of the problem. But
what's yours?
So I only did one, right?
Yeah, you're on two.
All right. So my second one was Alexis on Fire, Old Crows, Young Cardinals. Obviously, I just finished talking about City and Color not too long ago. This is, the first band kind of Dallas Green was in, but it's like a post-hardcore style band originally. This album is a lot more hard rock, more than hardcore or anything like that. But it's their last album before they broke up. They're kind of back together now. They've released a few songs. They may tour. I'm not really sure what they're going to do. I hope they put out another album, but stylistically a little bit different. They dropped some of the screaming out of their previous efforts and kind of just made it like a hard rock album. And it's just really well written. It's about kind of them maturing as musicians, maturing as people, growing up. not really fitting into the current style that they were expected to. And that's what got me into the band. And after this album, I kind of went back into their previous few albums and got into Crisis a lot. So I can recommend that album as well as their EP Dog's Blood. It's really, really solid too. But Alexisonfire is a band I haven't seen live, but I've seen City and Color live. Dallas Green's an awesome performer live, so I assume that Alexisonfire would be just as talented and just as well received. So that was my second choice.
Nice. It's funny because of the first 10 we've given, only one band on mine is a band I haven't seen, and they are the band I want to see the most because I haven't seen them. Everyone else on the list I've seen so far.
Nice.
Actually, everyone on the whole list I've seen, except two.
That's funny.
One next week, one this week. So my next one is based on a true story by The Starting Line. And yeah, I kind of really got off track when we talked about this one initially, but I'll say that my love for this album really sparked back up when they did their live stream back in January, where they played their two main albums front to back after being basically disbanded for 13 years. And it sounded so amazing. And they even played a bunch of songs that they've never played live before during those sessions. So it really, really brought me back into the fold of The Starting Line. And last time that I did a list like this, I was pushing Direction, which was the last album they put out as a band before they broke up. But I'm thinking now that this one is probably the one that I would say has probably lasted the test of time. It was their second full length, based on a true story. And it was kind of the start of the shift to a different sound. Again, they kind of started as just like a plain old pop punk band, and then this was kind of like the shift before we got to like the big change in the next album. So based on a true story, that's the name of the album. And if you're looking for a good song off of it, Surprise Surprise is amazing.
Right on. So my next choice was Death from Above, 1979, You're a Woman, I'm a Machine. They're also from Toronto. Very quirky, weird sounding two-piece band. Just bass guitar and drummer. The drummer sings.
So
yeah, they're very different sounding. I don't know any other band that sounds like them. It's very heavy sounding. I don't even really know how to describe their sound. It's like a hard rock / metal sound, but it's just bass driven, so it's very, very different. Not like Primus. I don't even know really how to describe them, but they're awesome. They're really talented. They have 4 albums. This is their first album, my favorite album. But yeah, they're called Death from Above, 1979. They kind of dropped in 1979 more recently, so you may see, if you're seeking them out, you may see them. It's just called Death from Above, but really solid band and really talented. And it's another band I haven't seen live that I would love to see live. So
and Canadian.
Yeah. Like I said, almost all my choices this week were Canadian, so I'm keeping the Moose Milk name as a Canadian podcast, promoting Canadian bands.
He's getting that moose milk right from the teat.
Right from the teat. Exactly. It's the way I like it.
It's the good stuff. So the next one for me is the band from this week that is on my list that I still haven't seen, and that is Alkaline Trio, and the album is Good Morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I still really need to see Alkaline Trio badly, but Matt being in Blink is really ruining that opportunity for me.
I agree.
But that's okay. I'm fine with it, I guess. But yeah, I really love the album Good Morning. As I said before, I really jump back and forth between this and maybe I'll Catch Fire, and even a little bit of From Here to Infirmary too. But yeah, if you're looking for a good pop punk band, I don't even know if I'd call them pop punk. They're not really pop punk. They're kind of like,
it's like
punk rock,
dark,
like
punk
gothic punk rock. It's like they have a song on Good Morning where it's like they talk about like slitting their throat, letting the blood come out, and so it's like, yeah, it's a little wild. The lyrical content, like I had a few times where like Kate's kind of looked at me like, what the fuck are they saying? Like, I don't know, man, just let it go. It's all theatrics. It's just for the fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I pretty much pimped the song Emma when we talked about this earlier, that we lost it. The song Emma on this album is a really, really good representation of what you're going to get from any Alkaline Trio album, which is just like a swift kick of punk rock with some pretty sweet bass lines and some pretty unique voices. Matt and Dan both have some pretty unique voices. So
yeah, you can definitely see why Blink recruited Skiba into the band. It's because he's used to that vocal style and of competing vocals kind of thing, and that's what Alkaline Trio really successful at is the vocals intermixing, but they're both distinct in a way that it sounds really good. So
I agree. It's like it shouldn't work, but it does work.
Yeah. I mean, I said earlier that I really love the album Crimson, and Matt was huge on it, but that would be the album I would recommend outside of this album is to check out Crimson. But I think they're a really, really talented band and definitely underappreciated.
I would definitely agree with that. Need to see that shit. I almost saw them once. I almost saw them with From Autumn to Ashes, and I think the reason I didn't go is because there was like way too many concerts that month, and I was like, something's got to get cut.
Yeah. Well,
I'll see Alkaline Trio eventually. And here I am, sure. Fucking like 15 years later. Fuck.
That's the problem. Is my biggest recommendation for people that love music and love live shows is see a band when you can.
When you can. Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
You never know if that's your last opportunity to see that band. So
I agree.
Anyway, my fourth choice was Hannah Georges for Evelyn. She's a singer-songwriter, very, very chill, very mellow music. Female, obviously, from BC. She's very mellow, very melancholy, talks about a lot of heavy shit. Most of this album's very about death and recovering from losing somebody and stuff like that. But I've seen her open for Mother. Very, very talented live musician. I picked up her albums immediately as soon as she started singing, just because of how talented she was. So I highly recommend checking her out. She has 4 albums out. This is her 3rd album. But I'm not huge on her first album, but I definitely think the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th album are very, very worth checking out. So underappreciated, but very talented musician.
Nice. I don't have a statement on her because I don't listen to it. So yeah. So the last one I'm gonna hit here is an album called Trampoline by Steel Train. So this album is probably like one of my top favorite albums, like top 3 for sure, and on any given day could be my number 1. It is by a band that stylistically made a very drastic change when coming to this album, and it really stood out in my mind. I remember seeing it live before the album came out, and it stuck with me until the album came out. And when I heard it, it's like I remembered everything that I saw them play live, which doesn't really usually happen with me. But yeah, I don't know if it was just the time of my life where this album just really spoke to me, but everything else they've done has been good. Like the self-titled album that came after this was good, but to me, they're not even in the same category. I put Trampoline up on a level way higher than anything else they've ever put out. So yeah, but the album's called Trampoline. The best kind of songs are Firecracker or I Feel Weird or Black Eye probably would be the best choices. But even the last song, I remember after the album came out, the last song on it's called The Women I Belong To, and I just I fucking love that song. But it's kind of a slower, kind of a slow build. And I remember I saw them do a live video where they all stood in Jack's living room holding something from the house, whether it was a spoon or a comb, and while Jack played guitar, these guys all used just a regular household thing, a glass with a spoon, and played other parts of the song, and it was just, man, it was so fantastic. It was so fantastic.
No, I also really love this album, and Matt got me into the band back way back in the day, whatever it was,
2003, I think, or 4.
I don't know, whatever it was. But I definitely like this album. I love their self-titled one as well. But if you're into fun, this is a band that kind of not similar in style, but kind of
you can definitely similarities though.
Yeah,
I think you can. I think
you can see the progression into fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, he recommended the format. This is the amalgamation. Fun was the amalgamation of the format and Steel Train. But
that's right.
Yeah, they're very, very talented, and there's a lot of catchy tracks on that album, so I definitely recommend it.
Sure is. Yeah, it's an awesome album. So if you can get into it, it's honestly, it's good from front to back. I love the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. So my last choice was Mother Mother Oh My Heart, another British Columbia band. I've seen them live probably 6 times. Really, really talented live. A friend of mine got me into this album. So
who did get you into this?
What's that?
Who got you into this band?
My friend Michelle. I had never heard of the band. She gave me a recommendation of checking them out, and they're just really, really good. This is their second album, but their first album's really good as well.
Nice.
Stylistically, I couldn't really describe them. They change pretty much every album, from like a more folky sound to a more like indie rock sound to I don't even know, like a poppier sound at times. Like they're kind of all over the map. They have a female vocalist as well as a male vocalist. They're just kind of out there. They do their own thing, and I don't really think there's another band that kind of sounds like them out there. So
they're unique, but they're. It's funny because I find them easily accessible for how unique sounding they are.
Yeah, I don't
agree with that, but every time I put it on, she's like, "What is this shit?" I'm like, "All right, take it easy, will you?"
Yeah, I don't think they're for everybody by any means, but I just find them very, very catchy. They have hooks, and I don't know. They have, I think, 5 or 6 albums out now. They're working on their next album right now. Nice. I think it comes out in like June or something like that. But they're just really, really good live. They're really, really talented. I think they don't have a really bad album out of all their albums. And if you're looking for a different, interesting Canadian band that you might not have known, I definitely recommend Mother Mother.
I like Touch Up. That's what I think between Oh My Heart and Touch Up, but I think I might skew even closer to Touch Up because it's weird, and I like.
It's weird. Eureka is the third album, and like it definitely changed stylistically as well, and they just never really stick to one sounding song, one sounding album. Like song to song, they even change kind of stylistically. So it's, I don't know, they're weird. But I like them.
Nice to be so unrestricted as a band to be like.
Yeah, I feel like they just kind of do whatever feels right for them at the moment, and they clearly have a lot of different influences. So it just works as a band, and I don't think they're well known enough. They play a lot of small shows in Canada. I don't know how well known they are in the States, but I recommend them. I definitely check them out.
Okay, so
that's it.
Wait. Okay, so as I was kind of like doing this list and putting stuff together, I thought it'd be cool to like maybe hit one album each week that we maybe were jamming to that maybe didn't hit our lists for any particular reason. I don't know. Like, so I wanted to kind of bring up an album that I kind of jumped back into that I forgot how much I enjoyed, but like it's not enjoyed to the point where I would ever say it's like a favorite. It's just like I put it on just because, like when I was kind of going through my library and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I really enjoyed this album. And then Kate's like, you're not going to put that on your list, are you? Because it seems like a really weird pick to put on a list of like best albums ever.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be funny to like just see if you had something that kind of fit into that category. So like the one that I kind of picked for that was like, so I started jamming to Cobra Starship again.
Oh, nice. What's wrong?
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. The second album though, the one with The City Is at War.
City Is at War.
Viva La Cobra. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So I've been actually listening to that album for the last 2 weeks.
Those first 3 albums are catchy.
Man, they're super catchy.
I'm disappointed that Gabe stopped making music.
Me too. But Nightshade was pretty shit though, so I do.
Nightshade is terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Their first 3 albums I think are really, really well done. Mm-hmm. I love. What was the band before it?
Midtown. I love Midtown too. They're great.
Forget What You Know is an amazing album.
Amazing. So good. So good. Actually, I think all three of Midtown's albums are good. But I know I do think Forget What You Know is their best effort. Like I think it was their best foot forward.
That's my favorite album by them for sure.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I love those first three Focus Starship songs or albums, and they're very weird, and they're I don't know if they're necessarily well written, but they're catchy.
I think that's ultimately why I didn't put them on my list, because I think of it and I'm like, you know, you got a song where he's like got like, you know, like a transgender person yelling at him about being a stripper or something, and it's just like,
they're very weird albums.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I feel like they really haven't aged well in content, but I just feel like the songs are just like, they're super fucking catchy. Like they're super fucking catchy, and it's just I don't know. I've been jamming to it quite a bit lately. I really like it. Viva La Cobra, Cobra Starship.
The album I didn't put on my list that I wanted to put on my list, I could do, and like, it's not necessarily like a bad album in any way or a weird album anyway. It just didn't make my top 20, and it should have, because I love this. I love this album more than anything. Is Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt. And
that's a good one. That's an oldie. Yeah,
I think that's one of the best catchy 90s album you can download.
It's like, very catchy.
I was in love with Gwen Stefani for a long time. Like, I think she's one of the most beautiful women in the world.
She still looks like she's like 30.
I don't understand how she's like 50 and she looks like she's 25 still.
I know.
It makes no sense. I guess that's what money can get you, or healthy lifestyle, or whatever. But she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She's very, very talented. She makes very, very catchy music, and I think Tragic Kingdom is one of the best 90s albums there are, period.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. That's a good choice.
Yeah. It was an album I wanted to put on my list and just didn't, but it was, again, one of the first albums I owned. I think it was probably like third or fourth. I remember like laying in my backyard as like a 13, 14, whatever year old kid, just like listening to that album and jamming out. And like, it's just like, it has so many different styles. It has like pop elements, ska elements, reggae elements. Like it's all over the map stylistically, and it's just very, very catchy. It's got great bass lines. It's just really, really good. So anybody that doesn't know, No Doubt, go check out.
Check it out. Honestly, that's just a good 90s album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Really, really, really awesome album.
Yep. Nice. That's a good pick too.
Thanks, man.
Well, at least we got to go back and revisit some of those ones we missed.
I'm bummed that we lost the first hour, but we kind of made up for it in 25 minutes or so. So
you got the half speed version.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't really understand what happened there, is we lost our first hour of the podcast. So we kind of amalgamated the second half of this podcast from the first hour. So we're kind of making do with what we got.
We saved it, Ryan. We saved it. Let's be honest.
I could have took off my shirt and saved it from the get-go, you know?
You're not wrong.
So that's going to be Moose Milk Podcast 17. And then next week, we're going to do 10 more albums each. That's going to be 18. And then we're going to kind of shift gears and do some movies, I think. Kind of talk about film. We're going to talk about live music. All before we get back to the MCU with Loki. So it's going to be like a 5-week kind of all over the map type thing. I'm still streaming games. I streamed.
Did you stream earlier?
Yeah, I streamed Returnal, and then I went back and listened to it, and I have no audio, so that's fun. I have audio from the game, but I don't have my audio. So if you just want to see some gameplay of the new Returnal game on PS5, you can check that out. But for some reason, my mic did not pick up any audio, so you know it is what it is. I did that for about 2 hours. Next week, I'm going to do Resident Evil 8, and then after that, we're going to start the first Mass Effect game that's getting remastered for PS5. So yeah, if you want to come by on Friday nights, I'll probably start streaming around 9 o'clock that night, Eastern time, and do it till around midnight, and then we do the podcast at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys checking us out and following and watching. And if you can give us a like and subscribe, follow us on YouTube, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah,
it's appreciated. helps the statistics, helps get more people into the podcast. If you can recommend it to a friend,
just give a good word too. Just be like,
yeah,
one guy drinks bubbly and stumbles, and the other guy just is there too. So that's good.
Exactly. But I appreciate anybody checking it out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
See you next week.